What's up, everybody? Welcome to Knife Hands here on Vets Talkin. I've got an ad playing in the background. There we go. Get rid of that shit. Happy Thursday, everybody. 2 shows in 1 week. Kind of rare for me now, but I'm happy as hell to be here. We got a awesome fucking Canadian friend over here, crazy enough to live up in a nation that surrounds him with snow and ice every single fucking year. It's the reason why I moved away from the north.
Notably today, it's pretty cold today where I am.
What's the temperature up there?
I think in Celsius, so I might have to do some math here, but presently it is where I am negative 10 degrees Celsius.
Ooh.
Oof.
So 0 is 30 degrees for us. That's the freezing temperature. So you're negative 0 for you're in the negative 10. That's probably like negative 20 for us.
Well, I mean, if you guys are negative 30 for freezing or 30 for freezing?
No,
30 degrees is freezing temperature.
Oh, okay. So 30, then
32 degrees.
Probably 20 degrees then or so. Like, because I think our degrees are pretty similar. It's just, it's their.
No, because doesn't it go like like 30 degrees for you is like 70 for us.
I had a feeling I'd have to look this up. I'm just
negative
10.
So freezing for us is 32,
Celsius.
which is 0 for them.
14 degrees. So I was pretty close with 20.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, welcome to Let's Learn About Temperatures on Vets Talkin.
Yeah.
Happy to have you all here.
I've become a weatherman.
212 degrees Fahrenheit is boiling for us, and it's 100 for you. So that makes sense. You're 0 to 100 for freezing to boiling, which makes a lot of fucking sense.
Makes all the sense.
Yeah. Well, leave it to us to not want to fucking do anything that makes sense.
Yeah.
I still like our feet and miles rather than your freaking, metrics.
Meters and kilometers make a lot of sense too.
I know.
Kilograms are the hard ones for me. I think in pounds for weight, but
yeah, you guys still use miles per gallon though, don't you?
No,
I mean, miles per hour.
No, kilometers per hour.
Kilometers per. What am I thinking? There's something
the
that
Brits do. The Brits still use miles per hour.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So that doesn't make any fucking sense. All right, Clinton is the math guy here. Says 32 for us is negative 32. Wait. Oh, no, he's just a whole fucking math. I don't like math. Fuck you, Clinton, for making me think like math. Fuck you. Good to see you, Mark. It's been a hot minute since you've been on.
Yeah.
The last times you've been on, it's talking about pop culture and all that. And we are going to talk strictly about the military with you today.
Cool.
Yeah. So, and hi to Alf. How you doing, man? Our retired Air Force.
What's up, man? Yeah, I know we're going to be talking about Canadian military and the U.S. military differences. I have for at least 6 years, I worked with a Canadian contingent in AWACS because they sent at least 2 crews down there. So I got to work with them on a regular basis, deployed with them. So I have some information that they gave me.
Okay. Whoa. Just lost my fucking audio here. All right, that's better. All right, let me say hi to some of this chat. Voraxalon is going to catch up later, but thank you for being here, Vor. Blue Cord popping in with a 20. I will circle back to that after I get around here. Here's this weird freaking porno furry guy. Clinton House is in the house, and Kendon B. And I'm sure that more people start rolling in because we are starting an hour earlier than we normally do. The reason I did that is because we do have the semifinal, or I guess it's the semifinal for the college football championship on tonight. It's not even that I want to watch it, but I don't want to freaking try streaming over that and have people, wanting to disappear. So today's going to be just kind of a shorter show than regular, but I will go at least until I think about 7:30 my time, so 8:30. So we'll go for about an hour and a half. And we may have our awesome Green Beret buddy popping in here on a little bit. He's doing an X space right now. What is up? I see a few more people. Shaka Zulu, haven't seen you in a minute. What's up, buddy? Anthony Shaddocks.
Hello.
Is that like Shaddocks?
Shadow?
Shaddocks is how I would pronounce it.
Yeah, but what's the emperor's name in Dune? Emperor Shaddam? I don't know. I can't remember.
It's slipping my mind now.
Yeah, I'm actually.
I know Irulan is his daughter.
Huh?
Irulan is his daughter.
Yeah. I'm a big fucking Dune nerd, so I'm surprised I can't remember Shaddam the Fourth. I know it's like the fourth or something like that. In any case, G Drone says fuck Canada, America #1.
Hey, fuck you, buddy.
Oh, I don't have. I gotta get some South Park sound effects. I do have.
Retard alert.
I do have Mr. Garrison, but I gotta get some other ones. Fuck you, Betty. Okay, good. All right, so let me get back up here. Clint, or not Clint. I'm used to him dropping gifted memberships. Blue Cordell for $20. Thank you, buddy. Says, "Hail, Adam and everyone else. It has begun."
Hello.
And I just said this yesterday on Tuesday. Why don't I have the video ready right away when I do that?
It has begun.
Thank you, Blue Cordell.
No shots for me.
No shots for you.
Yeah, I actually have work tomorrow.
I just don't have anything to drink. I forgot my water bottle in the hallway.
Oh, how lame. You got to go do your cyborg crawl.
Yeah,
What-
I mean,
what-
like this leg I can put on pretty quickly, and I didn't take my liner off. I do have a cool spike though, so there's that.
You have a spike on your leg?
Yeah. This is my
Oh,
leg.
dude. That's badass. You can kill somebody with that, can't you?
Yeah, it's my secret weapon. You pull my leg off during a fight, all you've done is like unveil the thing I can kill you with.
It's like freaking RoboCop has that spike in his hand.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Mine's more dull, but I mean, I could crack a sternum open with it, I'm sure, with my full body weight. Like,
He's hop kicking and stabbing.
yeah.
It's like who's that character in like Machete or something like that? She has like a machine gun, like
She's
an
an
M16
AR-15.
Yeah, with a fucking grenade launcher on it. On
Oh,
her leg.
that's in Planet Terror.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, Cherry Darling is her name.
I figured
Trust
you'd
me,
probably
I-
know that.
Well, like, believe me, you have no idea how many people have said, "Hey, when are you gonna have like an M16 and an M203 on your like?" I'm like, probably never. But also, I have no idea how I'd be able to actually functionally shoot with it unless I'm, lying on my back. But
We've seen the video how it works. You launch out the 203 and it launches you in the air.
as much as I'm a big fan of Quake, I feel like that would just kill me if I tried it in real life.
All right, so okay. All right, I'll do this in the next shot. Before I do it, I'll start off with the conversation. We are going to get into the whole conversation about if Trump were to actually take over Canada, which would not be even if he was going to do it, it would be militarily. He's not going to send troops in and take it by force. But we might do that. Fucking
Here's
damn
hoping
now.
not.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be some shit if we got to see each other on the battlefield?
I'll just be like, guys, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I don't want to shoot any of you, and I definitely don't want you guys to shoot me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We'll definitely be afraid when we see that M16 on your leg.
Yeah.
But so with the conversation being, if it were actually to happen, which I don't think any of us really believe Trump would do this. But the question will be, how many people do we think? Well, we're not going to talk about the politics behind it, but we're specifically going to talk about what it'll look like for the military integration of Canadian military into American military. Because me and Mark talked about this on DMs, and he raised a lot of points as to, like, yeah, that probably would be very difficult and might not even work at all. Maybe.
Yeah, I honestly think the only way it would functionally work is if all the Canadians, if we just get grandfathered into all of like our salary and benefits and everything, because otherwise I think at relative rank levels, a bunch of us would be taking a massive pay cut. Granted, less tax, but still like a lot less money, a different benefit system, different pension,
Yeah. Well, and that's the conversation we're going to get into, because we were talking backstage about pension in the military and how apparently that's changing the American military. So we'll get to that. But first, I got to get to this, because Clinton House, I guess I just asked for super chats now and they drop them. So thank you for that. Give it 5.
It's not a bad superpower.
Huh?
That's not a bad superpower to have.
That's a great superpower. Super chat. No. Thank you very much, Clinton House, for that. I love starting everything off with this now.
Quick, baby!
Thank you, Blue Cord.
No
Man,
bueno.
Yeah, that looked like it hurt. By the way, I have no beer or seltzer or anything in here. All I have is tequila and margarita mix. So I'm being a little fruity tonight. All right.
it's about normal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just fruity all the time anyways. So yeah, we were talking backstage. One, I was surprised to find out Mark was telling us that they got that they do something similar to a 401k. They got to go all the way to 65 in Canada.
Well, no, we don't have to.
Okay.
Like, I mean, you get.
What's the minimum?
I think it's something like 2%, 2% per pensionable year, up to a max of 70, I think. And then like that's sort of where you top out. As far as like when you get it, I believe at 55 is when you can start getting your pension indexed, which means you actually get paid by it. But you can extend your term of service until 65 now. But I think that's also a relatively recent thing. Like I honestly didn't even know about it until recently. And it's because I had to do a medical on a 62-year-old. And I went to talk to my like superior. I was like, I just did a part 1 on a 62-year-old man. Like, is it like, can he still be here? And it's like, yeah, you can stay until 65 now. I was like, when did that happen? And I think it's more like a 10-year retention thing, like where it's like, okay, you don't have to leave right away if you still are able to work and do your job, and the military's deemed that they need you. And yeah, so. Funny enough, though, that like similar type of retention is sort of what's happening to me right now. Because while I mentioned this to you guys backstage also, but while I was on my way to a medical release, I actually got my decision 2 days ago, and I am still in the military, which for at least the last like 6 months I've been fighting for. So yeah, my career is safe, at least for now.
Yeah, when you bring it up, you know, because my experience was I was trying to get my medical discharge at the end of my career because I was all fucked up. I couldn't even do a PT test anymore because my knee was jacked, my back and neck was jacked up.
Yeah.
And so I had to sit and wait for the decision to get my medical retirement. And so when you started bringing that up, I was thinking, oh, he must be in the same boat. He's trying to get his medical retirement. No, you're actually actively trying to
fighting
stay
against it. Yeah. Well, I mean, like for a while, I didn't think I actually could, like even reverse it because I sort of thought that I was just on my way out the door and there was nothing I could do about it. But things like, you know, having a house, having a family, and like trying to be a point of stability when like my significant other is in like sort of this world that's much less stable. I was in a situation where I had to kind of be like, like I wonder if I could actually fight against this release and stay in, and then found out that there is an appeal process where if I did get the decision to be released, I could still appeal it and then maybe get that turned around afterwards. But I made so much progress like in the last 6 months that I got them to just decide to not release me. And they'll still probably be like checking up on me every now and then. And if my leg is not as good as the one I have now in the future, and I can't do things like pass the fitness standards, which I did relatively recently, then that might change. But yeah, that's that. No, it's just my Chihuahua's trying to find a spot. That's it. That's him going. He doesn't normally bark, but hold on one sec. I'll mute and then.
All right, it's us. We'll get when he gets back on. We'll get him to give us a little bit of background of his military experience. But yeah, this is pretty crazy that he was talking that he surprised the hell out of me when he said that retirement goes up to like 55, 65, something like that. I think he said minimum 55, whereas we were 20 years in, and you can retire at 20 years. Obviously, if you stay in longer, then your pension gets bigger. But come to find out, I was talking to somebody in real life. I thought it was on here that's changed now. That apparently we've gone to a 401k retirement plan that you have to retire. You can only retire at fucking 65 now, right, Alf? I mean, you just retired. So thankfully, you got to retire at 20.
So the way it works,
20, holy hell.
Active duty.
That's
minimum for us is only 20 years.
Yeah, so
20 years. I thought you meant the age of 20. I was like, wait,
no,
so 2 years or like
like if I had made it my entire time, I could have retired at 38 years old. That's how fucking cool it is.
So active duty, it used to be that you do 20 years and you were eligible to retire, and at retirement you get 50% of your pay from when you retired. Your last 3 years, they would average them together, and you get 50% of that, and that would be your pay, your retirement pay.
So
Now the way they're doing it is because a lot of people would start a career, jump out at 10 years, and they get nothing. So the military's been wanting to go away from the pension system, and they started doing this 401k. It's a mix of 401k and pension. So you retire, not retire. Let's say you separate at 10 years, and you've been contributing for 10 years. So you would get a pseudo retirement, but it would be 40% of your pay, and then the rest of it would be money you contributed into a 401k. So you.
Oh wait, so you're saying that you can hop out and still get a pension at no matter how long you're in?
Yes. Yeah.
So I guess what you're saying is that's an incentive to stay in.
It would be a lower percentage, but you would still get something, even if you left before 20.
The question would be, though, when does the pension start getting paid to you? And I think that might be what you're saying, like, actually happens at 65, because that's like retirement age, where they'd assume that if you leave the military, you can probably still work unless you leave the military for medical reasons.
Under the previous pension system, as soon as you hit 20, you would start collecting your pension right away, regardless of if you could still work. So you would get your pension plus whatever the VA disability would give you, and on top of that, you could continue to work.
So for medicals for us, like if I did get that medical release, I would start getting my pension right away, as opposed to having to wait until a later age, because that's part of one of the perks for medical release. The only reason I didn't want to do it is because A, I would like it if maybe my pension was bigger when I actually do leave, and B, Jesus, Jojo, what the hell? This poodle, I tell you.
I don't like veterans.
Yeah. It's fine. I think it's just because the Chihuahua's like kind of licking my hand, and she's like, "Why is he giving you attention?" Anyways, they're fine though. They're totally good puppies. But but yeah. So I didn't really want to leave that early because I think that having a stable job in the house is probably a good idea, and sort of re-evaluated my, like, if anyone here, I don't know if anyone here had like been one of my supporters on like Locals or YouTube or anything, but I made a post saying, hey, if you're like a member on my YouTube channel or you support me on Locals, feel free to cancel it. I'm not really going to be working on my channel much anymore. I don't really stream at all. I do one show on Metal Commander's channel. He's like one of the like EFAP crew people. And we do that show on Sundays. It doesn't really take much of my time. I'm not usually working on Sundays anyways. And that's sort of all I do YouTube-wise. And I've kind of just moved into focusing on, not civilian job, but like non-YouTube job, like real-world job kind of deal. And
IRL jobs, yeah.
And yeah, I'm a good Army medic. And yeah, I'm mostly working in what's basically an urgent care clinic these days. And I see patients every day, and I do medicine every day, and yeah, I like my job. So,
how long have you been in the Army for?
In the Army, since I was 17. So now we're going up on year 24. But
holy shit!
But I was a reservist for 10 years, and then I switched to Reg Force. So I think actually 2012 is when I switched to Reg Force. So yeah.
What's the training requirements for reserves in Canada?
I mean, it's the same as it is for Reg Force. You still have to do basic training, and depending on your trade, you have to then do a trade for medics, which I wasn't before. I actually had like the least hardcore trade ever before, to the point that I don't even want to say it here. But for medics, the Reserve Force medics are what are known as Med A's, or medical assistants, and they have very, very limited scope of practice, whereas the Reg Force ones are medical technicians, and I'm a QL5, which is like the second level of medical technician as far as training and scope of practice goes. So I can do all sorts of cool stuff, like put a crike in you and things like that. They don't let you do if you've just been a medic for like a year, whereas I've now got like several years in and quite a bit of experience. So yeah, I can do the cool stuff.
Well, so to clarify, that is very interesting also, but I mean, I was actually like reserve trained, like for train, like in the reserves for us is, what is it out like 2 weeks?
2 weeks during the summer, every 1 weekend a month.
Oh
Right,
yeah,
1 week in a month,
so
2 weeks a year. Yeah.
so we have a system where you can do it like that, but I just did basic training in the summer and just straight like full 9-week basic, like the way we do it for Reg Force as well. Like I know that there are people in my reserve unit who did that like weekend system, but I honestly don't even know anything about that. Really.
Yeah. The weekend system for the American Guard or Reserves is mainly you're part time, so you only do so much a year. So it's usually 2 weeks during the summer to do like a training exercise, and then 1 week in a month for drill.
So I guess
What
to
they call
ask,
it.
so is your reserve? Are you actually full time military as reserve, or does that mean you're part time soldier and you're doing a full time job outside?
Me or Alf?
No, you.
Oh
You're
yeah,
Canadian
like I
military.
mean, for me, honestly, like I would show up on Tuesday nights for like our parade night, and that's pretty much it. I would sometimes be enemy force on some exercises on the weekends, but I wouldn't go very often because honestly, like I was in university full time, and really for me, it was just I get $1,000 a month towards my tuition, which in Canada, tuition for university is about, or college for you guys is about $4,000 a year, so it's not insane, and that helped me pay for quite a bit of it. And yeah, and it brought in some extra money, and you know, it wasn't really a huge part of my life. It was just I started working on the career I went to school for, and it was probably about as reliable as YouTube, only less so. So I decided I'm going to do something else. And then when I was 27, I decided, yeah, I kind of like medical stuff, and I think I might be pretty good as a medic. And at the very least, they'll pay for paramedic college so that once I leave, I could just get a job as EMS. And they did, and I got my EMS license and everything, and I probably would have just looked into doing that once I left the military, but after losing my leg, I don't know. Funny enough, I can pass the fitness standards for being a military medic, but being a civilian medic, you have to do this thing called a stair chair, which
Ooh.
basically if you have like a big patient that you need, or like a patient who isn't ambulatory, meaning they can't walk, who is on like a second level or they're on a lower level and you have to get them up the stairs, you have to put them in this chair, and then two medics like kind of walk them up like step by step. And sometimes the patients are pretty big, and when you're going down the stairs, you can't really go face forward, so you have to go backwards. And with my leg walking backwards downstairs while holding another human being, I would likely not be able to do that in a way that they'd find safe. So. But
Yeah,
I can pass military fitness standards. So
yeah, and that's insane that you with missing a leg can pass the standards for the military, but not civilian world.
yeah. Well, I mean, I guess because also military, if we're doing like an extrication in like an austere environment where, you know, we're like doing hand carried stretchers, it's not. It's not like we're dealing with civilians, or if we are dealing with civilians, they know that they're being handled by like military people, so it's not going to be like super clean and nice. But if you're walking into an apartment building and there's like an old lady who's having chest pain and her family's all there, and you're like lifting her down the stairs, if anything happens, you're likely going to get sued, or like your service is going to get sued or something. So it's riskier from like a legal standpoint, I guess, in the civilian world. So I do understand it, at least.
Yep, that makes sense. Hey, shout out to you, TJ. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And G-Drum, we're not going to get into the politics of anything right now. Understandably, this man still has a career in the military, and he has to stay neutral on that. So we're going to talk.
At least stay in my arcs. I can talk about things I know, but because that's not like a done deal where they've given me a briefing saying here's our stance on it, I can't really talk about that stuff.
Yeah. So we'll get on to that stuff after Mark here takes off, because we'll get straight into that conversation here, talking about the military side of thing. I would like shout out, what's up, Hardy Harmonica, Shaka Zulu. Well, I already said hi to Shaka Zulu, but and G Drum, everyone else. Thank you all for being here. Let's see. I love it. Looks like we got 21 over here on YouTube. We're also streaming over on the Rumble side. We got people over there. Horns Rule popped in over there. Hello to everyone on the Rumble side, and we are on Twitter as well. So thank you to everyone who's watching. All right. Well, then of course he goes ahead and takes off.
Oh no, I'm here.
Still listening though.
He's listening.
No, I'm here. I can still talk too.
Yeah, I guess I was messing with you. So yeah, here's the deal, guys. So there's the story is out right now that maybe that Trump is going to make Canada the 51st state. Now, yeah, we're not going to get into all details. I think we're all in the idea that it's really a troll on them. It's a troll on Trudeau, who won't say, but I'm going to guess Mark has an opinion on him. But the
technically,
fact
like Trudeau actually stepped down like on January 6th. Funny enough, so
he announced that he's going to step down.
Yeah, well, I think he's stepped down as Liberal Party leader, although I think he would still technically be the prime minister.
But didn't he, with what he did, locked up Parliament, so they can't really do anything?
House of Commons, but yeah, it's kind of more like our Congress. But
okay,
yeah. But see, what the whole one is, we talked about this on Tuesday, is that I saw it. Maybe you can confirm this or not, and whether or not you even want to talk about it. But the story is that he announced it, and then he locked it up, like Al said, so that Parliament can't actually come in to vote him out, because that's what they were going to do. They were going to vote him out, force him out. Instead, he announced that he's going to step down. He's not actually stepping down right now, and he's not allowing Parliament to go in to force him out. Someone's saying that he can still stay in for like another 90 fucking days. Is that anything you're hearing up there?
That does sound like it would be possible, but I think at the very least they'd have to call an election either way, and that does take some time anyways, because although I think most of the opposing parties already have their candidates lined up. But honestly, the Liberals, which is Trudeau's party, it's not Liberal, the actual ideology, it's the Liberal Party.
Yeah, okay.
But they would probably be the ones that would be scrambling the most, because they have to figure out, okay, who do we have that can win an election? So yeah.
Interesting. But like I said, we'll stay with, I know you're not a political person and you got your career on hand, so we're not going to talk so much about that. But we were talking in DMs because I hit you up on your thoughts on it. And but you pointed out the difficulty, and also I will say this also, and again, we're not gonna have a whole discussion, but you even point out that I think there's a lot of people who would be on board with it. I looked up a video of a Canadian news station who went out on the street to ask people what they think about it. Out of like a dozen people I saw, only one person was a little wishy-washy and said, "I want best for the people of Canada." And guess what else? Everyone else just said, "Oh, it's a terrible idea." Come on, out of a dozen people, you couldn't find one single person who's on board with the idea. Fuck you. That's liberal media, though. But
I would enjoy the right to bear arms, but I'll say that to my CO's face. I'll be like, look,
fucking freedom of speech too. I mean, you got people getting locked up there for jokes online. So
yeah, silly.
But yeah, you did point out that the integration of the military would be very difficult. A lot of things that you told me, I did not know the differences between our military. If you could, if you want to lean in on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I kind of touched on it earlier. I think that the big thing is we are by rank generally paid more than U.S. military people. So obviously a captain in the U.S. military is going to make more than a corporal in the Canadian military, but our corporals make more than your corporals on average. And part of that is because we don't have nearly as many people in our military. And especially right now, our retention is very bad, which is honestly probably one of the reasons they're keeping me, because I was expensive to train. And medics are one of the trades we need the most, because
to be fair,
get hurt.
Our retention's pretty bad right now too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, they made everything. Did they make everything woke up there for you guys too? Is that something you want to talk about though?
I mean, that's probably stuff I shouldn't get into.
Yeah, okay,
but, we do have training that we have to do every so often. Some of them are once a year, some of them are just one and then you're done. And every so often they're a little cringy. I think that much I can say.
Did they make your PT? Did they make your PT test a lot easier?
Yes and no. So it's easier in general for two-legged people. It's actually harder for me, funny enough. But the big thing that they did to kind of equalize that was make it so that it's one standard that everybody has to hit, regardless of age or gender. Whereas it used to be you have age brackets, you have male and female with different standards, and it's basically kind of like a sliding scale of what fitness standard you have to hit based on who you are and how long you've been in, or sorry, how old you are specifically, not necessarily how long you've been in. Whereas now it's just flat, same test every single year. Everyone has to hit certain standards on it, like the minimum standards to pass. and that's it. When, funny enough, I was mentioning about the stair chair walking backwards. The only element of it that's really difficult for me at all is we have to drag this like thing of like 250 pound to 300 pounds of sandbags on basically 2 ropes backwards for 25 meters. The trick is, though, you can't stop, or like the bag can't stop moving. And for me, that's difficult because even if it was timed, I think I'd be fine with it, because if I stepped weird and needed to kind of reorient myself, I could still get it moving again and move pretty fast. But if I step weird once and I fall, that's it. And I'm walking backwards, and my leg's not really built for walking backwards. So, yeah, that's the one I kind of have to, even like, honestly, no matter how much I train for it too, it's still one that it's like, well, dice roll this time. So, but I mean, this year I passed, so. And it was an important one because this was the year that my file was being reviewed. So, yeah.
I want to ask Ariel O'Neill. Okay, so this person did say that talking about Adam, Renaissance nerd Adam, but where are you watching? Because it's fun. I can see your comments on the StreamYard here, but I don't see comments over on YouTube. That's weird. I'm confused. But at least
maybe if you're in top chat, maybe if you go to all chat. Or live chat,
I'm
I
in.
think is the other option.
I should be.
Yeah. That's what happened with me. I was on top chat and looked over. Then now I see her.
I see her in live chat. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I okay. Well, I guess for some reason I don't. For some reason I don't know. But I'm in studio mode.
Why
Slightly
isn't
banned.
Okay? Why isn't live chat just the standard? That's so stupid.
I think because it's less moderation and like
But it
there's reasons. I mean, you get the really big channels that have like 5,000 people talking at the same time. Then it's there's reasons to change it up. Okay, so you were talking about one for the pay. I think it's easy to argue also that you guys don't have the same kind of spending as we do. I mean, we're putting all this money into so much of the DARPA research, creating all this new technology and everything. You guys have a much smaller military. Plus, I mean, I don't think it's a stretch for that you would even say that you pretty much do depend on us largely. Right?
Yeah. Although, I mean, you guys kind of depend on us for watching the Arctic. So
yeah, the North. Yeah, of course. You're our eyes and ears up there at least. But I mean, this is one of the things that Trump has been talking about. But like, look at what would happen if we just said, okay, well, you want to keep on messing around with tariffs and using and abusing us. Okay, then we're just not going to support your military anymore. Good luck. And that probably wouldn't be very good for you guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, wait, why are we not keeping them as our allies?
Well,
yeah. No shit.
And the other side of it is the trade deficit. Like, Canada benefits very well from the trade deficit.
Again, Alpha, we're not going to get into all those details. I don't want to get Mark in trouble over here. But my point.
I mean, like, you guys can talk about it if you want. I can't really add any opinion.
I'm just talking about the economic side of it, and that's just it is what it is. But I'll leave it at that.
Oh, we have a lot of land and a lot of lumber.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. and you got some damn good maple syrup too. But I would argue that Vermont is very good too, where I came from. But so the point is that like it makes sense that you guys would be able to afford to pay you guys more. It would suck that the pay brackets would come down. And that's my bad. Actually, I was going to look that up because I knew we were going to talk about that. I failed to look up what the pay differences are, but I absolutely trust that you're right that it would be very different. So yeah, you guys would end up having to take a pay cut. And on top of that, like it's really just national pride. I'm sure that Canadian troops are proud to wear the maple leaf on their arm and proud to serve Canada.
I have one on my actual arm.
Yeah. So I mean, where do you think how that would go down? That all of a sudden, okay, well now you can't wear the maple leaf, and now you have to wear an American flag instead.
I mean, like that, I think would be trickier, but I think it would sort of not be too much different. And if you I don't know. I guess like the country flag though on your uniform would be a big change regardless. But you kind of mentioned though about a lot of people having specific state pride. So I guess it wouldn't be too different from like my like Maple Leaf kind of combat arms thing. There wouldn't be all that different from a guy from Texas having a Lone Star on.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. People who, have that, real great pride, like Texas are damn proud. Same with Arkansas. I hung out there, and a lot of the Southern states. So a lot of Southern states have a lot of pride.
and there's
Californians, they'd be embarrassed, I'm sure, to have
Yeah.
California.
But I mean, there's people from almost every state that are proud of where they come from, and they want to wear that, however they can.
Mhm.
So,
But yeah, and so obviously the point is there though that you can still take pride in Canada, just like I well, at least I used to take pride in being from Vermont. Now fuck that place. But it's a pride thing would be a big thing. You'd have to integrate everything, and it would be a timely process. It's not like you'll be right away. It'll be an integration. Obviously. I'm sure what would end up happening is they'll end up working out training scenarios for your basic training and then your specialty training. They'll probably find some ways to take like you and work you into the I forget what the MOS code is for us, but obviously our medics, similar job fields.
00334 is our MedTech MOS ID. We
Holy
call it
shit!
MOS
How many
ID,
numbers?
00334.
Holy fuck!
That's
the
it.
army. The army is 3 numbers in a letter.
Yeah, well, yeah. Like I
Marines
said,
are-
things would probably have to change. We're not the same military. In fact, honestly, we'd probably have a much easier time integrating with the British military because that's like my reserve unit that I joined with. It's older than our country because it was a British military unit.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Alf?
One thing I learned about working side by side with the Canadian contingent that was here is that in the Canadian military, fraternization is not the same thing as it is in the U.S. military. So in the U.S. military, officers cannot date or of any sort of that with
Oof.
enlisted.
With enlisted, yeah.
I would have been in
However-
trouble in like 2015.
One thing I learned in the Canadian military is that officers can date enlisted as long as you're not in the same chain of command.
Yeah, and if you are, then they will generally move one of you. Like they'll just
Yeah.
post you to a different section or a different unit.
Oh.
So they make accommodations.
Yeah,
Yeah, see, if you end up fraternizing as an officer with an enlistee, especially in your command, I mean that's UCMJ action. I mean,
For an
what's the
officer,
penalty for that, Alf?
Yeah, for an officer, that's a career ender.
Really?
well, I
you're-
mean, like
yeah.
I guess like you do have to disclose it. So like it's not like you could be dating for 5 years and not tell
Right.
anybody, and then like they find out and it's like, okay, fine, move one of us. Like you pretty much the second you're official, you got to be like, hey, yeah, we're together. So
Yeah, if you in the U.S. military, if you get busted as an officer dating an enlisted, your career is done. Like there's no chance for promotion. If anything, if they don't kick you out right away, they're just going to let you languish until you hit the end of your tenure for that rank and you're out.
I
And
probably I think
enlisted have more forgiveness. Enlisted could potentially, recover their career and continue on, but officers
I
are
was
done.
a lowly sergeant. I was being taken advantage of.
Exactly.
I
That's how
was
it is.
looking hot
That's how it
lieutenant.
is. They look at it as the enlisted, as an enlisted, you are being
like
coerced
power
by the
imbalance
officer.
stuff. It's like
Yeah.
me
Yeah,
too.
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as an
That's pretty
officer, if you get caught of that, you're done. Your career is over.
Well, I know of, and like to myself, granted this was like a decade ago at this point, I've been in a relationship that I know probably maybe 5 to 10 female captain, male corporal relationships. Like that seems to happen a lot because captain is generally the rank that officers will stay at for the longest stretch of time before they bump up to major, and corporal is like the kind of corporal for life is a joke here, like is it's the highest amount that you can be getting paid without becoming a leadership rank. So us, the rank above that is master corporal, which if you're a corporal 4, meaning you've been a corporal for 4 years, and you go to a master corporal 1, it's actually a small pay cut initially, but it's a stepping stone that you need to get to sergeant. And the reason I've never wanted to be a master corporal or sergeant or beyond is because at least in the medic trade, you kind of stop doing medicine once you become a leader. Like you're doing more administration and like you're managing people and doing a lot more, I guess, healthcare administration stuff as opposed to, hey, you're my patient. What's wrong with you? Shoulder pain. Okay, cool. Let's take you through these exams. What do you got going? Abdo pain. Okay, let's make sure you don't have appendicitis. Whereas I like doing the medical stuff. And yeah, I got paid all right. So.
Yeah, and you get a lot of that. We got one of our newer guys, Big Rob. He was a 75th Ranger Regiment, and he was a combat medic, and that's all he wanted to do. As an E6, he's still a combat medic, but he pretty much got forced into be promoted to E7, Master Sergeant, or Sergeant First Class rather. And that then all of a sudden that means desk jockey time. He's not out there anymore.
Yeah, well, we have this thing where you can sign a form that says desire to not progress, meaning like you want to stay at your rank level and you don't. Basically, it means that they don't have to send you to promotion boards and evaluate you when they're trying to decide who from your rank group they should be promoting. And the reason I signed it a long time ago is because, like, A, I knew I didn't want to go into the leadership ranks, and B, I don't want to be a roadblock for anyone who does, because that's also when you get into kind of like workplace politicking of like, oh my God, who's going to be the new master corporal? I was like, you guys go right ahead. I don't care.
That's a very big difference between the U.S. military and the Canadian military. Is the U.S. military, if you don't promote or move on after a certain point, you're done. Your career's over.
Yeah, so that's not a thing for us, and if that became a thing for us, then that would it would upset me actually, and many other soldiers as well. Which again, we don't really have the numbers to be kicking people out because they're good at the job they do and they don't want to start taking on other jobs that they might not be good at. Like that, to me, that seems kind of like a silly thing to do, anyways.
Well, it's like when I went to Maple Flag. At Cold Lake, and we had a bus driver. He's Canadian military, but he's like 50 something years old, but he's a bus driver. That's all he ever wanted to do.
MSE op is the trade. It's
and that's all
basically. Yeah.
That's all he ever wanted to do was be a bus driver, and he was just hauling us around. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yep. When I was in PSYOP, we had a graphic designer who he didn't want to be a leader. He was E4 specialist and never wanted to go beyond it. He was in the Army for like 11 years by the time when I was working with him. He might still be in it. He's just a little specialist right now. And yes, I think like you're saying, Alf, like if you're in a leadership role, like, yeah, you're NCO or officer, then you're going to be forced to advance in some way, but they don't give a shit about those E4s. And if you want to stay E4, never get any higher, then I think they're perfectly fine with that. At least in that terminology, like
so
a graphic designer, that's all you want to do.
Is E4 like your highest NCM rank before you become an NCO?
Well, what was MCM? What?
NCM, non-commissioned. We have non-commissioned member ranks, which is private. The different types of private we don't have seamen anymore. We have sailors. They changed the name of that rank.
But that's before you get to
our Navy needs to do that. Yeah. But
now we used to have able seaman, leading seaman, and master seaman, and now we have Sailor 1, Sailor 2, Sailor 3, Sailor 2, Sailor 1. You go reverse in numbers. Sailor 1 is the highest.
I think our Navy is there's 2 seaman ranks. Is Seaman 1 and then senior seaman, something like that. It's only 2, but no, for us, so we call it junior enlisted. When you are E1 through E4, which is for the Army, it's private E1, private E2. They're both just called private. Then you get private first class, and then specialist. And then after that, it gets complicated with the corporal thing. But the next rank after that is actually sergeant. And then above. So we call it junior enlisted, though.
Oh, wait, so you guys don't have corporals?
The Marines do. The Marines have corporal and lance corporal. The Army created this rank called specialist after World War II because they did have corporal as E4, which was a leadership rank, but the Army got had too many NCOs at that point. So they created this rank of specialist, which is in the same pay grade. And specialist is the primary rank. Corporal is only a rank that you get a lateral transfer if there is a big need for a leadership because they can't get a sergeant in.
Oh yeah, see, for us, corporal isn't a leadership rank. Ours is probably actually more similar to the lance corporal, at least in British military, because again, that's sort of where we came from. Whereas master corporal is the one that's a leadership rank.
Master corporal has such a cool sound to it.
Yeah. There's 2 masters. You get master corporal and then master warrant officer. And master warrant officer is like the highest NCO rank. There's chief warrant officer as well, but a chief is an appointment more than a rank. So there's usually only one chief at a unit, and then you get a different insignia, and you're a CWO instead of an MWO.
And Adam, the U.S. Air Force. So the U.S. Air Force got rid of warrant officers after World War II. They have recently reintroduced them.
Really
They're bringing them back for the U.S. Air Force, the warrant officer ranks.
interesting because
I mean,
we both the Army and the Navy use warrant officers
yeah,
for
the
pilots if you don't
Army,
go
Navy,
commission.
yeah, Army, Navy, and Marine Corps all have warrant officers. The Air Force dropped them after World War II. They're bringing them back because
Interesting.
they're needed.
Yeah, there's a role for warrant officers. You know.
Yeah.
That's actually the route I was going to take. I was actually taking a route to go to aviation school. I was going to fly helicopters, and I was putting my packet together for warrant officer school. Yeah, didn't work out though. I had to, things didn't work out. Unfortunately, is what it is. Let me get to here. Got a $20 from Blue Cord Devil. You fucking legend. For all this, if you're all new here and you don't know, I got this thing scrolling at the bottom. I didn't say it, but we all say drinking rules do apply. Any single super chat, do social, $20 or more, and we do shots. That is what I am doing of my amazing whiskey here. So thank you very much. Says, are we sure it would be a pay cut with the exchange rates?
Based on the way that a low rank person can live in the Canadian military versus, like, I guess just what I hear about lower rank people in the U.S. Army sort of struggling with money, I would say probably still yes, though, like your dollar is worth more and you pay a lot less in tax, so those are not to be discounted. But
to be fair, our lower enlisted, our junior enlisted, they get everything paid for. Like, you have barracks, you got your food being provided for you. Like there's nothing. As long as a private is actually living the way he should, which means go to the chow hall instead of Burger King, which I was Burger King guy. But you got everything paid for. Does your military not do that?
Well, no, actually. So if you're on a course, then yes. But if you're just posted to a base, you can pay for barracks if you want to live in military housing, but it's still like a cost per month, as well as meal plan is something that you can opt into or not, and that's another cost per month. And some people do limited meal plan too, where they get I think 2 meals a day and only 5 days. Like if they're basically only planning to be at the base while they're working, and they eat breakfast, like lunch and dinner there, and then they go home, or breakfast and lunch and then go home.
All of our lower enlisted get their military or their meals covered, and most times they have to fight to try to live off base. Like there's a lot of rules in place to stay on base and live in barracks.
Granted, I first got posted to a Reg Force base as a corporal because I already had my rank from my reserve time, but I immediately was like, okay, let's look to see what the off-base housing is in this place, because I really don't want to be like sleeping in the place where I work if I don't have to be. Like, I mean, granted, I've spent a lot of time on courses where that's just what you do, including the kind of courses where it's like, hey, there's 20 bunk beds and we're all just in one room, but
well, we don't have that. If you're going on training, then you'll have like the bays where you have like 20 people or even more in a room, depending on that. But housing on most forts, it's going to be usually 2 guys to a room, and you have your lockers separating or whatever. But yeah, our junior enlisted, they all get the housing provided for them. It's all free. Like I said, if you're going to the chow hall, it's free. You don't have to do anything loops or whatever. Like I said, a lot of guys like me, I still went to fucking Burger King instead of going to the chow hall. But then afterwards, depending on your base, sometimes there are some places that will have like E5 housing. You can be a sergeant and you get assigned a barracks room. For the most part, a lot of places don't do that though. So once you become an NCO or officers immediately as a lieutenant, then you get what's called for us BAH, which is basic allowance for housing. At that point, you get a certain amount, and you get an amount depending on your pay grade, and then you can go rent an apartment or a house or whatever the fuck.
We actually recently started getting a cost of living bonus like last year, actually, but it's calculated based on where you live. So if you're posted to like a Toronto base, it's pretty high because living in Toronto is expensive. But I'm quite a bit outside Toronto, so it's not as much for us.
Yeah, we do have that too. I can't remember what it's called. What is it called? It's the same thing. It's a cost of living. Depending on where you're at, you get an extra amount.
Yeah, in the U.S. military, they call it COLA, cost of living allowance. And that's like if you live in like Japan or Hawaii, and or the Washington D.C. area, it's going to be super expensive. So they add extra money on top of that.
Yeah, which I mean, that does make a degree of sense because like if you're living in, for example, the place where I used to live, like I bought a house and fully paid off a mortgage out there, so like that'll just kind of give you an idea of how cheap it was to live in Petawawa versus like where I live now, where that is not the case.
What did you say? Padawawa?
Petawawa, yeah, it's
Padawawa.
Land Force Central. So Central Canada, which technically is where we are, even though like we're Eastern time because our east coast actually goes quite a bit further east. And yeah, like Newfoundland's very like it's very very far east of here. It's
Interesting.
and
All right.
yeah, but yeah, so we have Land Force Central is Petawawa, west is Edmonton, and east is Gagetown in New Brunswick.
I just like saying Padawawa.
Yeah, it's a
Is that like a native name?
yeah native name. So,
Okay.
just like Ottawa is Toronto.
Or
at the same time, too.
indigenous. All right,
Well,
I gotta do this.
I still say native. Like First Nation, I think is what they often will say in Canada. But like I've never once met a Canadian native who's been offended by the term native, so that's just the one I use.
Of course not.
Oh,
Same thing.
Jose's
like,
asking where the puppies are. Jodo's right here.
I've had Native Americans who are not offended by
And here's
term
Rocky.
not offended by the term Indian. You know,
Yeah.
they're okay with it.
Yeah, I think
you know?
that's more of an American thing, though.
Yeah.
Like Canadians, I don't think we use that term generally.
Yeah, I was always curious. I'm gonna have to look into the history of that. Is why I mean I know why Christopher Columbus came over and he called them Indians because he was trying to go to India, so he just called them Indians. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that Canada did not. I wonder if like initially were the natives called Indians, and then you guys
I mean, I
changed
know,
it,
like,
or-
I definitely would play cowboys and Indians when I was little, but yeah, like since joining the military and knowing a lot of like native soldiers, it's I've never once called them an Indian to their face, and
do it and see what the reaction is, and come back
I
and tell us.
I feel like I don't want to do that.
All right, you might get something like this if you did that.
That wasn't an approach.
Thank you, Blue Cord.
Yeah.
That's perfect. I had that queued up, and that worked out great.
Yeah, geez, I'm just picturing my buddy Raven doing that, and he would cave my chest in with that kick. Like
We had- I
very
told-
big,
I told-
fit dude.
Yeah, I told us before we had an admin sergeant in one of my units that I was in. He was a Native American, and his name, you read on the name tape, White Killer.
That's pretty funny.
I'm serious. He wasn't no tough guy either. He was like
Wow.
he was like a scrawny nerd. He had like pimple scars all over his face, but like
Yeah.
Sergeant White Killer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a badass name to have, though. We also had a friend there. He was supposed to get stationed in Germany, and I was stationed in Italy when we were doing this. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, I was lucky.
My
I got stationed there
ancestral
for-
homeland.
for station. Really, you're Italian?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see.
Can't
the
tell from the
Italian. Okay.
Like I'm either Italian or Jewish. It's one or the other.
They have very similar similarities. Yeah.
Southern European.
Yeah, but yeah, my buddy, he was supposed to be stationed in Germany, and when somebody saw his name tape, said, "Oh no, you can't be here." His name was Ashlock, which in German means asshole.
Oh,
They sent him
Well.
to Italy instead.
yeah.
The last name of
Well then.
asshole. Dr. Gold for 5 says, I would not want to be in Canada I would not want Canada to be a state because of how they would view the Second Amendment. Guess what? You guys get the Second Amendment, and there's going to be plenty of Canadians who want
I mean, yeah, like I think that's probably less unanimous up here than you might think. I mean,
right.
Yeah, I was saying that. I think there's a lot less people that would vote Republican up there than Democrat.
well, I mean, it's not very likely that we'd be one state. Like it would probably just be
Right,
each
right, right,
province would become its own state. So you guys would have effectively
but I-
13, I guess.
But I think there'd be more blue states.
10 provinces, 3 territories.
If you took the provinces
Well-
straight for how they are, I think there'd be more blue provinces / states. Than
Yeah, I guess it
red.
would depend though, because like we'd also need to be divided up into electoral college seats,
True.
right? Which isn't how we work here. So
Yeah, and
that might shake out differently. And much like the U.S., I think a lot of our politics is swayed by the major cities. So yeah,
for us, for us with the electoral college, it works out by population. So here's the thing that I looked it up is that your population's somewhere in like 30 million, whereas you compare that to California's over 300 million.
I was about to say we're about the population of Los Angeles. Think about that for a second.
Exactly. So I mean, you would still get 2 senators for each state. But other than that, your electoral votes will not be very much for each individual one, and you would not have that many House of Representatives. But the Senate is something that will get swayed if there's a lot of blue Democrat senators come out of there.
Well, I mean, again, like I can't assume how Canadians would even vote in our elections, never mind American elections, if we were suddenly given the power to vote. But I don't think it would be as simple as like, hey, everyone in Canada is a crazy lefty. Like, I mean, I think like there's a lot of rural Canadians that I think a lot of people don't take into account when they think that this is like some progressive bastion up here. It's like, yeah, there's plenty of people with guns, plenty of people who hunt. Alberta is basically Texas north, so like
nice. Yeah. I had like I said, I lived up in Vermont. We were very close to Quebec, and there are people up there who really don't like us, Americans.
Oh yeah, so okay, I got to be careful here.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I don't know if you want to talk about it or not.
Quebecers don't necessarily think the same way a lot of other Canadians do, especially because there's a big contingent of, I don't want to say big. There's a notable contingent of Quebecers who don't even consider themselves Canadian at all. They consider themselves Quebecers or Quebecois, and that's kind of it.
I'll say it so you don't have to. They want independence.
I remember 1994. I remember this one. I think there were 2 referendums that were deciding. Referendum being like when we vote on a particular issue. That, and by we, I mean just people in Quebec in this case, as to whether or not Quebec should become an independent country as opposed to being one of the Canadian provinces. And no one on both counts, including the one that I remember. I think I was like 10 when it happened. But yeah, that's a thing that happened in my lifetime where Quebec was seriously trying to leave.
Honestly, I'd say let Quebec be their own thing. Honestly.
Hey, I mean, they can vote on whatever they want to vote on. I'm not Quebecois. I can't assume that. I do have a lot of Quebecois friends, though, who are great people.
Yeah.
Quebecois, that's a terminology like Quebecians.
Well, they speak French there primarily. In fact, if you're in a city like Montreal, you can get away with speaking English pretty much anywhere, though you'll still run into the odd store who they will just not serve you unless you're speaking French. But I know some people from rural Quebec that did not speak a word of English until they got posted to an English-speaking base. So, like, there are people who are hard francophone in Quebec. So
yeah, I heard a lot of that. J'étudie français in l'armée. I don't even know if that sounded right, but the army made me learn French, and we had some Quebecians or Quebecois, however you said that.
Yeah, I studied a bit of French, I guess is sort of what you said.
I try to say j'ai étudié le français en l'armée.
I live in...
Is that right? I studied French in the army?
Oh, okay. The army was the last word. That was the last word. Funny enough, I can read French pretty well because that's when I can actually see the words and pick them apart. But I'm very bad with like listening to French and understanding it.
Hold on, man.
It's the consonants.
How do you say conjunction? Because like we would take, like wasn't. It was not, and then make it wasn't. But in French, you combine fucking everything.
Yeah, that's true. Contractions. Contractions.
Contractions. Yeah, thank you. It's So like, what is it? Keska. Keska is like one of the biggest things. Well, yeah. What is it? That is literally just make it in one fucking word. Keska. Keska sa. Keska say. It's fucking French, man. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I could not, like, my hearing, like, we had to take a test on for special operations language training was the test is standard for speaking, reading, and listening. And then we also, for special operations, had to have a conversation. I can't remember what they called that, but the listening portion, oh my God, it starts off simple with a couple of sentences and then they go into full paragraphs. I couldn't understand a single fucking thing.
Yeah, I mean, me too. Like, I sometimes, like, if I have a hard francophone patient, I'll either A, try to find someone who can translate, because generally there are some people around, but I mean, if we don't have one handy, we don't have one handy. So I'll sometimes just ask them to write it out so that I can actually like read what's going on. Because every so often too, I'll look in the medical notes and some of them will be written in French because we have bases in Quebec. And
Dude,
Yeah.
I have to kind of be like, okay, that's a number. Okay, 8 out of 10 pain.
What are you saying, Alf?
I was gonna say, up until recently, I lived in for almost 10 years. Lived in Louisiana, and the Cajun French in
Yeah.
South Central Louisiana. There's
not French.
There's French that can't understand Cajun French.
Yeah,
No, you can't.
There's French people from France who can't understand Quebecers. Like,
Yeah.
it's,
Oh, yeah.
kind
yeah.
of a different dialect.
The accent and everything.
Funny
is
enough, though,
kind of
did you
different.
know that Cajun, the term Cajun, is a funny talking about contractions and shortening things. That was Canadian. Like,
Really?
yeah. 'cause
So
they
that's
came up from
Canadian?
Canada,
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the Cajun French were Canadians that moved
Yep,
down to
from Quebec.
Louisiana.
I
Yeah.
did not know that. It
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. I was always curious why they were so French down there. But yeah, no, when I was down there in New Orleans for the Hurricane Katrina relief, my detachment commander brought me a flyer to ask me to translate it because it was in Cajun, or that's not a Creole. Creole is the actual term for the language.
Well, there's
And
there's different things. Creole is different from Cajun.
Yeah, Creole is what they speak in Haiti,
Creole
Oh,
French
which
is like
is kind of a
Haiti
type of
French.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, whatever they had, the only word that I even recognized in this full fucking page was malade, which is the word sick.
Yeah.
Everything else
That's something
was,
I read a lot in medical notes written in French.
I'm sure. I did not understand a single other the whole thing was completely different to me. So it is not French. It is a whole nother language. And I mean, obviously that's coming from somebody who's just a moderate speaker of French. You know, our course was a month long, I think. Yeah, 4 weeks, and then the longer ones was like 7 and 8 weeks for like Arabic and whatnot. But that was every single day for 5 days a week, 8 hours every single fucking day for a month. So that's why, you know, it was a I forget what it's called, but like my instructor, Ferdinand Tangambu. He's an African dude. He said on day one, today will be the only day that you will speak in English. From now on, if you do not know how to say it in French, you will say "Comment dit-on?" How do you say? And then say it, and then he'll tell you, and then you got to fucking repeat it. So that was nothing but speaking French for fucking every day for a month.
But yeah, Creole and Cajun French are very different from regular French.
It is night and fucking day. It's completely different. I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't translate anything in that fucking page except for the word sick. But I think real quick, the last thing I remember pointing out that the big difference is what?
I just wanted to bad take Bojan says the contraction of Acadian. Yeah, Acadia was that's Eastern Canada too, like from Quebec.
Oh yeah,
so it's,
and there's a region of Louisiana called Acadia. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
South Central Louisiana. It's like Acadia is the region.
Interesting. Before we let you go, Mark, I pointed out in our conversation that a big thing that at least I assumed would be a big hit for you, but I guess you kind of changed things up, is that you would not be able to smoke weed or grow a beard.
Yeah, I've not really been smoking weed like at all lately, and my beard's quite a lot shorter than I've been keeping it for quite some time. I kind of wanted to change things up a little bit, but yeah, no, I guess just like with the sort of focus on military stuff I've been doing, I've been quite sober for the last little while. So
Yeah.
but, I mean, granted though, like I don't oppose smoking weed. I think you should be able to. I don't think it really should be any different than like going out and getting shit faced. Like I know that as a guy who's responded to quite a few intoxicated patient calls, like on civilian side. If you're a stoner who has a medical issue that I'm attending to, I'm much happier than if you're a drunk, because the drunks are way harder to deal with.
Fair enough. Do you guys do piss tests a lot?
Oh no, like never. Like we don't do random. The only time
the
only time you'll ever get drug screened in the Canadian military is if people think there's a reason to. So if you're like say everyone at your work thinks that you're doing cocaine regularly and like showing up to work on it, chances are they're probably going to test you. But I mean, like obviously for weed, no, because it's legal. I think it's possible pilots might, because
That makes sense.
like our rules for cannabis use, cannabis being like the proper name for weed, in the Canadian military is if it's a normal workday, 8 hours prior to workday start, you can't smoke any weed. So if your workday starts at say 7, that means like 11 p.m. That's kind of your last call. If you're going to be driving a military vehicle, handling a firearm, or like working in an operational environment of any kind, then it's 24 hours. And if you're air crew of any kind, so even if you're a flight medic or a pilot, it's 28 days. So
Okay. So the U.S. military has a regular policy. So every week they have a percentage of whoever's on base they have to test.
yeah, no, we don't do anything like that.
And after holidays, they increase their percentage of tests.
Oh yeah.
I think whenever we did do random testing, it was anonymous and it was mostly for stats. So they more wanted to get like the stats of how many people are using some type of intoxicant, or illegal illicit substance.
Yeah, do it. They do it anonymous in the U.S. military too, but it's like after holidays, they increase the percentage of people they want tested.
But so wait, does it matter if you piss hot if it's anonymous then? Because like
no,
I mean,
it's not anonymous. You're thinking, that's not the terminology you're thinking of.
No, you're thinking of random. Like
random.
Yeah,
yes,
no.
random.
By anonymous, I mean it doesn't matter if you were one of the people who did test positively for an illicit substance when that happens.
Yeah.
They're doing it for statistics to be like, okay, we have this amount of infantry guys who are doing steroids. We have this amount of everyone in the military who's on cocaine at least 3 days prior to when this test happened, and they only will do that when they want that kind of census data. But other than that, it has to be like suspect. I mean, if people are if someone goes to your chain of command and is like, hey, this guy like does ecstasy every single weekend, yeah, you're probably going to get tested, and it will be the kind of thing that MPs will show up basically with a warrant to say, yeah, you're.
But yeah, the U.S. military's random searches. So, but your name is not like scratched out. It's like they know who it is, and if you get busted,
big trouble.
You're done. You're out.
Yep.
Yeah,
not necessarily. There's plenty of people I know who got busted. It depends. But there are people who I know just got like big, demoted and big time fucking.
Generally, I mean, even like for the people who do get like kind of warranted and tested, and they do test positive. Generally, you do kind of have the option of being like, okay, we can put you in rehab, and if you go through like a full rehab program and like we regularly test you for a certain amount of time after that, then you can probably stay in. You'd likely still get a charge of some kind, but they wouldn't boot you right out the door.
It's the same thing as fraternization. For officers, if you get busted, you're done.
Oh yeah, for
absolutely.
officers,
For us, that's not even really a problem as long as you disclose.
Enlisted, you could potentially most enlisted get thrown out. 99.9% get busted and thrown out. Sometimes, if you have the right people behind you, you could get, easier charges and stay in. But
so, and the main point of this whole conversation is that'll be one more point of contention if the Canadian military were to be integrated into ours. Obviously, you're saying you don't do the weed so much anymore, but I'm sure there are plenty of guys who will say, wait, I have to shave and I can't smoke weed or do crack or cocaine anymore. That'd probably be pretty upsetting for some people.
I mean, like you're not allowed to do like cocaine in the Canadian military. I should clarify that. Like the only one we're allowed to do is weed, because weed's federally legal here. So, I mean, it's like legal by state in a lot of your states too. It's just you guys still have it federally illegal.
Yeah, it's not federally legal. Yeah.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's really confusing here now because weed is still not federally legal yet. Like it's getting to the point where it's going to be.
Well, which means if you're like in New York or California or something like that, and you smoke weed and get arrested for it, it has to be like the FBI that's arresting you.
And the military goes off federal law. So if you get busted off of federal law,
exactly,
you're done.
Well,
know?
exactly. Like our military also goes by our federal law too, so that's kind of why for us it's
Yeah,
okay.
so your federal law allows it. And ours
But at the
doesn't.
same time, just like we have similar rules about alcohol use too, right? Like you can't have a bunch of booze like a decent amount of time before you have to be on a range, for example.
Right.
Like and yeah, so we have similar rules for cannabis.
Man, I'm pretty sure. Like, I've never been in that situation, but well, I mean, I've gone on fucking lunch breaks and gone to a titty bar. There was a place out in Fayetteville outside Fort Bragg. That had
Did
a
you go
great
back to
fucking-
work afterwards?
Just had like a beer and then go back. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, see, we could probably get in a lot of trouble for that.
I
Like,
don't think if I remember right, I don't think we were actually allowed to do it. It's just you pop in a fucking
It used to be allowed in the books to be able to have a beer at lunch and go back to work.
yeah.
I mean, realistically, that shouldn't be too much of a problem, but I know that one of the big things we have to do, even like at our work now, is if we're having, say, like a work Christmas party, that Christmas party needs to be scheduled on a day where they know that there's not going to be any med techs in the afternoon, because at noon, when we go for our work Christmas party, we cannot come home because it's going to be assumed that we might have each had a beer at lunch and we can't then return to work and see patients.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. Obviously, for you in your career field, that'd be huge. Showing up like as a medic or doctor.
Any career field where there's liability, after
Yeah,
having a
exactly,
drink.
right? Because
And
I
we'll
mean,
work on
most of the time, it wouldn't matter at all from a functional standpoint. Like I could still easily assess a sprained ankle if I've had a beer, but the risk comes when like, oh, what if you have to do an IV on a person? What if you have to assist in a minor surgery? What if you have to remove some sutures or like put in some skin staples? Like there's things we do where if we mess it up and then it's like, well, was this person like apparently someone smelled beer on his breath? Like, was he drunk? It's like, well, I wasn't drunk, I had some drinks.
I had a beer.
That just wouldn't go
But at that
over
point,
very well.
at that point, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly, right? Like it's just not something that would go over well.
Yeah. So before you go, we're gonna let you go here in a minute there, Mark. Mark. Yeah, Mark. What the
Yeah,
fuck? Okay. holy
that is my
shit.
name. Yes, correct.
Why's my sound effect not working? Oh, dude, my fucking.
You gotta know
Stream
hi,
Deck all of a
Mark.
sudden stopped working. Yeah, I did. That was a major brain fart. I was gonna play the computer glitch sound effect, but nothing's working on my Stream Deck. All right, Dr. Gold, for $5. Thank you, buddy. Says, I'm glad that the Canadian people are waking up, and hopefully they elect someone that will be good, so that we can work together and be better allies.
I always hope we elect someone who will do a good job. I think
the-
I can say that.
You guys
Who's
did
the
not do
guy,
very well in that last one.
I cannot say anything about that.
Who's the guy? Paula Polaire?
Pierre Poldurev?
Yes. I am in favor of him.
Yeah, again, I can't really say who I'm in favor of or not, but
I know you can't, but I can.
Yeah.
So
all right, cool.
Thank you, Dr. Gold, for that. And before you go, if you got to retire, since you're better off on the couch than anything else, how would you like to have this as your retirement gift?
Uh-oh.
I mean, yeah, it wouldn't suck.
What you're looking
That
at
looks
is what's
looks
known as
comfortable.
yeah. Some
I-
people
I-
call
I-
it John Wick 2.0. One has a flamethrower on the back. Big tank, big flame. I built two anti-aircraft guns, one of the most popular anti-aircraft guns used by the United States in World War II. It has anti-aircraft radar. All controlled by a joystick, like playing a video game. Real easy to drive. Kids love it.
Kids love it.
The battle chair.
Well, yeah. And my biggest concern would be like, how does that thing weather? Like, do I have a garage I can drive that thing into? Because like, I feel like if that's outside for any length of time, it's going to be pretty gross, like almost immediately.
Oh, it's a battle chair, man. I'm sure it can put up with anything. You take that thing off roading. Mark, thank you so much for being here, buddy. I really
Yeah, no
appreciate
worries.
it.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Good conversation. I really didn't realize that there's that many differences in the military. Obviously, like you're saying, it's really unlikely it's actually going to happen. Trump is a 4D chess playing troll, and yeah, it'd be cool to see, but yeah, we won't get into that. But
Yeah.
thank you for your input. Love having you on here. We'll have to have you back on again soon, bud.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks.
Where can everybody find you? Guess you're not doing the YouTube thing so much
yeah,
anymore?
well, like I say, I guess if you wanna hear me talk about media in incessant detail, go subscribe to Metal Commander's channel. If you go to my channel, Marc The Cyborg, I've got a whole playlist of all the episodes of Forge that I'm on. Our most recent one was a pre-record, and we have one more pre-record because actually Metal Commander right now is at Mahler's house. I think they were most recently getting drunk and playing Super Mario Sunshine. But we have two pre-records that are about the Penguin. We have episodes 1 to 4, and then the one coming out this Sunday is going to be episodes 4 to 8. And it was a very good discussion. So if you enjoyed the Penguin show or want to learn more about it, we analyze it over about 4 or 5 hours. So it's it's kind of like Fap Light, I guess. But yeah, that's where you can find me. But good seeing everybody. And
I don't know who Power Polivier is. Any input
Pierre
on that?
Poilievre, but like a political candidate. So again,
okay, all right. Well, we're not going to talk about that.
Not
Mark,
the thing I can talk about on the internet, but
all right.
I'll talk to you about video games whenever, though.
We'll definitely have to do one of those. All right, buddy. Thanks again so much for being on here, man. You take care.
All right, cool. Take it easy, guys.
Later, Mark.
See you.
Marc the Cyborg, everybody. Woo! Wait a minute. Why do I always have a hard time finding this video now? America, fuck yeah! I want to play it just for the simple fact that he's not actually American. Why is my Stream Deck not fucking working? This is fucked. Holy hell.
Reset your system or whatever.
Yeah, I've had to do it before, but not for this. All right, let me get over here. We're going to cut out here pretty soon, guys. I was only planning on doing this show for about an hour and a half. So I got blue cord though for another 20. Yeah, I can't do the applause. Says my last unit would always test me on random because they knew I hate trugs and would never piss hot. Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right.
Yeah, I can attest to that. My unit was a frontline unit of guys that just wanted to do their job, and we got tested on the regular because our wing had to make a certain percentage, and because the main part of the wing got fucked up because they had people that weren't,
the ones that were pissing hot.
Yeah, were pissing hot, and they went after us as the people to kind of level that out. So
that makes sense. Yeah. All right, blue cord. Thank you very much. You get this. Yeah, thank you, blue cord. Yeah. Laszlo the Instigator was an Army UPL. If I'm not mistaken, that's the guys who had to conduct the piss test.
Oh yeah, you had to stand there and do the meat gazing.
Well, I don't think they do the meat gazing. I think it's I think they're the ones who still sit there and have to collect the samples and then have the chart and everything. And I think other people did the meat gazing, like the leadership of the unit. I know
with the Air Force side, eventually they went over to contract companies doing the collection part.
That makes sense because there can be people who will like within the unit try to let people off.
Yeah,
it makes sense to have a neutral element did that.
Yeah, we had the company do it.
Yeah, so I was right. So the E5s did the PP checker and he did the paperwork. I knew guys who did that. I know I'm not gonna say who it is, but it's a first sergeant I know who he was telling me how he was able to get away with smoking weed because he was the company first sergeant, so he knew when the tests were coming. So, yeah, he told me about how he'd be out fucking smoking weed every fucking weekend.
Damn, what it is.
That's fucking cool. All right. The other thing, so we don't need to get deep in this, but I'm gonna address at least. We know that Canada. Likely Trump is not going to actually try to take over Canada. It's more of a power move on Trudeau, little bitch baby crying Trudeau, but really fucking serious about this Greenland thing. And it actually makes a lot of sense it makes more sense that we would own Greenland rather than Denmark. We are actually connected to Greenland via, via all this little shit right here, even though you wouldn't actually travel through there. But Denmark is way off over to the east in this picture, even farther away than other places. And it's a great strategic area. This is an area that we can keep eyes on Russia, all that kind of stuff. And it's got resources too. So it's got oil and everything. So it actually does make a lot of sense to take this place over. It would be similar to the Louisiana Purchase. People are calling it crazy. Like, no, dude, we bought land before. We can do this again. Trump is not talking about going in military force. There's like 50,000 people who live there, and it sounds like they would be more receptive to being under our control rather than Denmark. What do you think, Alf?
Well, the issue is with Denmark. Denmark is a lot like with our government with Alaska. They're not opening up exploration of minerals and oil in Greenland. Greenland would love that because the amount of investment and money that would come into Greenland if they allowed them to start like mining and drilling, Greenland would make a ton of money off that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And also Greenland, yes, Greenland is a very defensively opportunistic position for us because of melt around the Arctic. The China and Alaska have been China and Russia have been utilizing those routes in the Arctic, and us having a control there with Greenland makes a ton of sense. We already have a base there, a space base, but
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, Thule Space Base is right there in the northwest corner of Greenland, but it makes more sense for us to have that as an American territory or whatnot, or friendship or whatever we want it to be. And this is all. A lot of people are like, oh, he's saying he's not ruling out military. It's all, negotiation tactics. That's all it is.
Well, here's the thing that like the person who managed to get that quote from Trump, he wrapped in both Greenland and the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal, again, I didn't bring this up, but I should have, because it's in the same vein of discussion here. The Panama Canal is ours. It should, of all people, President Carter, who just had the ceremony today, is the one who gave it away. We made that motherfucker, and he gave it to Panama, and now China mostly controls it. Nah, motherfucker, we're not going to be taking advantage. We're paying out the ass to have our boats go through, and we largely made that for our military to use that, and now we're being fucked. That absolutely, if they're not going to give that up, I absolutely agree that we need to go in there militarily and take it over.
Oh, on top of that, the Chinese government is looking into building a new canal because they expect us to take that canal from them. Which means...
Oh, really?
Which means they think we are expecting them to do bad things with that canal, with the Panama Canal. They're looking at building a canal, I think, that goes through Costa Rica or one of the Central American states. They're looking at building a new canal, and it's based on Chinese government contracts.
They've been. I reported on this before, and I think I apologized last time because I didn't bring all the receipts with me. But there's been a guy who's been reporting. I saw him of all things on Infowars, which, by the way, I forgot to point out. TheAlexJonesStore.com. It's pinned at the top. TheAlexJonesStore.com/vets. That is our affiliate. We are affiliated with TheAlexJonesStore.com/vets. Go on there. If you already support Alex Jones and InfoWars, then all you got to do is just go into that store, use it with /vets, and then you're supporting both him and you're supporting us because I get 10% off of all the sales when you go to TheAlexJonesStore.com/vets. I keep on forgetting to point that out. But yeah, God dang, I knew that would happen. I have to fucking pitch shit, but I knew I was gonna fucking lose track of what I was saying. But yeah, China has been establishing bases in Central America for a long time now. As a guy who was on, he's been on InfoWars, which is why I thought of saying that, talking to Alex Jones, and he's been providing all the receipts showing that they've actually got pictures of these bases. Chinese fucking bases are being established just south of us. And that, you better believe that's a strategic move on us. You know, it's the same thing like Russia going in and moving their ships and their bombs over to Cuba. This is exactly the same thing. And yeah, them taking over Panama, the Panama Canal there is a move. Good luck to them for having to fucking make a whole new canal, because we got the best location there where the Panama Canal is.
Yeah.
The other options kind of suck.
And the Chinese are doing this all over the globe, everywhere. Africa, they are looking for every introduction they can to get, you know, the cheapest minerals and, you know, strategic. They're doing it everywhere. So who's to say they aren't doing this at the Panama Canal? The company that runs 75% of the canal is run by a Chinese company.
Yeah.
So they're saying there's not Chinese military there, but I guarantee there's Chinese military representatives there at some point, you know. So they're not like overt military sitting there, but there's Chinese military representatives there.
It's a buildup. They're just at they're at a buildup right now, and they're doing it very quietly. They're doing it under the radar. Fucking very few people know about this. You know, if you talk about it, like, you know, this one guy, he was a retired Green Beret. This guy who's reporting on this, and it's scary as hell, man. That we've got one of our biggest adversaries. Arguably our biggest adversary in the world is setting up shop in one of the most strategic locations on Earth, which is the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
So that's bad shit, man. If we don't nip that in the bud right now, then we're looking at a major conflict down the road with this. So that's why Trump is being preemptive on this, just like he's being preemptive by creating Space Force. Do we have actual threats up there right now? Maybe, we don't know. But at some point that there is going to be a need to defend ourselves from spaceborne attacks, which is why it made sense to be preemptive and create Space Force. That's why it's good to be preemptive and defend our Panama Canal, which we created. And Peter's saying here 28,000 Americans died building it. We need that to be taken care of now before it's a problem in the future.
And it makes sense, because if we have to go to war with China, we are probably going to have to shift forces from the Atlantic to the Pacific.
Yep.
And the best way to do it is through the Panama Canal. And if we don't have that, it's going to cause us problems.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is why they want to have control of it, because if they can shut the Panama Canal down when they decide to attack Taiwan, it's going to cause us problem getting reinforcements to the Pacific.
Absolutely. Yeah. Peter says the Chinese have a base in the Bahamas. They pretty much own Jamaica, and we are letting them buy land around 18 military bases so far. Yeah, they own land around all major fucking bases. They've got land, and that's no surprise that now we're seeing drones coming in and out of these fucking areas that the Chinese own. We've just let them fucking do it. Thanks a lot, Biden.
And Trump is actually looking ahead. He's actually the most recent American leader who is looking ahead to try to shape how things go, meaning with Greenland and with Canada. And he doesn't want to annex Canada. He's wanting to bring them to the table to negotiate. That's what it is.
Yeah, we've got them. They are taking complete and absolute advantage over us. Advantage of us. If we want to, we could take them over at any single time, but we don't. And what do we get in return? Them fucking us over on tariffs and all kinds of shit. We're buying so much crap from them that we don't need. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their cars. We don't need anything from them. Everything that we have here in this country, but we're just feeding them fucking cash all the damn time. And what do they get out of it? Everything. They get fucking security. They don't have to pay for shit for fucking military because we do it all for them. So yeah, there's no reason for us to be having ourselves being taken advantage of like this. All we want is fairness. That's all Trump is asking for is fucking fairness. So the libs out there, you can go suck a fucking dick. I can't play my fucking soundboard. God damn it. But I want to play. We got to get out of here. We're at an hour 30. I wasn't planning on going much over that. But before we go, Bongino played. I couldn't find the actual clip of this on this guy's YouTube channel, so I just had to screen record this from the Dan Bongino show. But shout out to Darren Grimes _ for making this, and thank you to Dan Bongino for putting on his show. Who is missing this? I can't wait to see more of this. Let's get Trump back. It's only about a week away, baby, for more of this.
He calls the Chinese virus.
Because it comes from China.
Racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China.
Mr. President,
Love that.
attacking you for being in this town because they say there were white supremacists.
Who was here in 2021? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
You have very low unemployment rate in the US and we have a very high unemployment rate in France. How come what the recipe for
Well, maybe we have a better president than you do.
your research
Hell yeah.
There are for immigrants on the whole
Come on, try getting it out. Try getting it out.
I'll get it out.
I mean, I don't know if you're going to put this on television, but you don't even know what you're talking about. Try getting it out. Go ahead. Are you talking to me?
Follow up of what I just asked you.
You ready? We have the president of Finland. Ask him a question.
I have one for him. I just wanted to follow up on the one that I asked.
Did you hear
What
me?
Did you want?
Did you hear me?
Yes,
Ask him a question.
I will, but
I've given you a long answer. Ask this gentleman a question. Don't be rude. Question? Yeah, go ahead. Sure. She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
Like in a state of shock. Yeah, I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I love that.
Legend. Oh, I wish I could give an applause.
So
That my
good.
soundboard's not working. Legend. Hell yeah. Can't wait to have the Don back in office. Holy shit.
So good.
Hertz Donut says, got him. Hell yeah.
Got him.
Peter says 100%. Why the fuck can Trump think of that and not our other generals and people in charge? Fucking assholes. Dude, he's going to come back, man. They're going to be so upset, but he's going to fix everything, man. All these people who are crying and whining, wait until you see everything start getting fucking better again. It's already been getting better, and he's not even a fucking president yet.
Yep.
But it doesn't matter. So many people, you're never going to change their minds. They're still going to cry and wet their fucking diapers every time they see a mean tweet. But yeah, other than that, guys, we're going to get out of here. I'm going to let everybody go and watch the semifinal game. I think it was Notre Dame and Penn State. I'm going to let everybody go watch that. It's not even, I'm not taking up because I really want to see the game. I don't care really that much, but I don't want to stream over that. But Alf, thank you for being here, man. What do you got going on?
Hey, I'm Horny Alf. Go check out my channel. I do mostly gaming content, just streaming mostly different games throughout the week. I've also been doing videos reacting to Warhammer 40K lore. If you want to check that out, go check that out. But otherwise, tomorrow night we're gonna play. Fuck, what's the name of the game? Fuck.
Come on, man. Just
sorry. Starship Troopers Extermination. We're gonna play that tomorrow night. Sunday night we're gonna play some Warhammer Vermintide 2, and then Sunday I might be playing some Party Animals, but it depends on the people that are gonna show up. But other than that, thanks for anyone who shows up to watch my content.
all right, yeah, everybody go check him out. His links are in all the way at the bottom of the video description below. Big thanks and shout out to Marc The Cyborg. You can find him with that name on X and YouTube and all that good stuff. I forgot to put his link down in the video chat, video description here. But thank you all for being here. I don't think we're actually going to be doing a Saturday show here coming up this week. Probably I'm going to try to make it more consistent to do Vets Talking Tuesday and Knife Hands here on Thursday. Regular time, always 8 o'clock Eastern. We started an hour early because of the game today. But other than that, I'm going to take off here, guys. Thank you so very much to all the super chats, Blue Cord, Dr. Gold, all of y'all legends, Clinton Hash, love you for the gift of memberships. And big shout out to all the chats, the lurkers, the mods. Y'all are legends. Thank you so much. And you can remember, double tap that like and subscribe and share us out there with everybody because you don't got to be vet to be here. Just don't get butthurt. You've been warned.
goes on.
Oh God! Ah!